This is 200 Q&A number one. Proper names: Visa, Clayton, Mr. Bryson, Pine Ridge, Godfather, Paula Larson, Roland, District Attorney, and Mr. Terry. Who besides yourself had access to the Visa card?
Clayton.
Were you and Clayton the only ones who had access to it?
We were, but I never used it.
Do you know where Clayton kept the Visa card?
In his wallet, I think. Yes, his wallet. I got it out for him a few times.
Do you know if it was ever used to buy groceries?
I don't know the answer to that, Mr. Bryson.
But you never used it for the purchase of groceries?
Not at all. I never used it at all.
Now, when Clayton was in Pine Ridge, he was there from late December until when?
November 30th.
What did you do for him during that time frame while he was at Pine Ridge?
Everything. I did anything and everything.
Can you please give me an example of what you did for him?
You know, I used to call him Godfather. He'd give me these directives, and I would do them. If he needed anything from the drugstore, I would go get it. If he wanted new clothes, I would go buy them for him.
While Clayton was at Pine Ridge, did he get up and get dressed every day?
Yes, after the initial shock of being there. He was in bed for maybe 10 days when he first got there.
Did you bring him his clothes from home, or did you buy him all new clothes?
I got him his clothes from home. Whatever he asked for, you know, his razor, his brushes, anything at all. He was directing me right off the bat, you know, wrap the pipes so they don't freeze and that sort of thing.
Did you also take care of his pets for him?
Yes, I did. He had a cat that he was very worried about. He had a cat over there when he left that I went over every day to feed for about 4 months.
Did you also pay his bills for him?
You know, he would tell me, these bills are coming in and you have to take care of them. So I would.
But his personal needs on a daily basis were met by the people at Pine Ridge. Isn't that correct?
Correct. That's why he was there.
Can you think of any other examples of what you did for Clayton while he was at Pine Ridge?
Later on, you know, he got real tired of the food. So I'd get him sandwiches. I'd get him sandwiches and anything else he wanted that made him happy. Whatever kept his morale up, I did.
How much time did you spend on a daily basis on matters related to Clayton while he was at Pine Ridge?
Mr. Bryson, I saw Clayton an average of 5 or 6 days a week the whole time he was there.
But then how much time each day were you with him?
It would depend on my schedule, you know. Sometimes if he wasn't going to therapy classes, I would stop by in the mornings. Sometimes I would stop in the late evenings after work, too.
Okay, but the question is, how much time on average did you spend on matters related to his care while he was at Pine Ridge?
If you want to count driving time to his house to feed the cat and the whole thing, I would say a minimum of probably 2.5 hours a day.
You spent 2.5 hours a day on average?
Yes, for the first 6 months. And then I got the cat adopted and I didn't have to go out to his house so often.
Then when he left Pine Ridge, he went back to his house. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What were the arrangements for his care then?
I was going to hire somebody and then I was going to participate and make sure that it worked out well. We were going to see how it went. I mean, you know, how much help it took and how many hours were needed.
Was Paula Larson one of the persons who was hired to help Clayton?
Yes, she was.
Was there anyone other than Paula Larson hired to help?
No.
How much time was Paula Larson asked to work?
Originally, it was about 40 hours a week.
What was supposed to be done for Clayton in the time she wasn't there to attend to him?
I was there on her days off. She took several vacations while she worked for him and I filled in for her.
Did you move into the house for that period of time?
No. Clayton was able to be by himself in the evenings.
Now, Roland testified that there was an incident sometime in your joint past when you struck him. Is that true?
You know, I could go on and on about the inconsistencies in his story. That is not true. I did not strike him.
Is it your testimony that he never contacted the district attorney to write a letter to you?
I never got a letter. I never had any reason to. I never struck the man and never did any of the stuff that he accused me of doing.
So it's your testimony that you never struck Roland?
You know, Mr. Bryson, maybe when we were little kids or something, fighting over marbles or something like that, but I have never struck him as an adult.
Since you've been adults, you have never struck him.
Absolutely not, Mr. Bryson.
Did Clayton ever tell you that he wanted to talk to Mr. Terry about his will?
Yes, he did.
Did he tell you what he wanted to talk to him about?
No.
Did you call Mr. Terry and make an appointment for Clayton to go see him about the will?
Yes.
But he never mentioned to you what it was he wanted to do about the will?
He was a very
Okay. Q&A number 2 at 200. Joseph Sherwood, Drug Enforcement Administration. Mr. Sherwood, Harvey, Illinois. Harvey, Jewel, Ray Westfall, apartment 618, Maple Avenue, DEA, Richard Bates, Mr. Westfall, Earl Weller, Mr. Manley, Mr. Weller, Frisco, Bedford, Indiana, and Mexican. Will you state your name for the record?
Joseph Sherwood.
Mr. Sherwood, what is your business or occupation?
I am a special agent for the Drug Enforcement Administration.
How long have you been so employed?
For 5 years.
Mr. Sherwood, did you have occasion to go to Harvey, Illinois on August 23?
Yes, I did.
Who, if anyone, was with you when you went to Harvey?
Other drug enforcement agents.
Where in Harvey did you go?
We went to a Jewel parking lot.
All right, approximately what time did you get there?
At approximately 10:30 a.m.
What, if anything, did you do at the Jewel parking lot?
I met with a cooperating individual by the name of Ray Westfall.
After that meeting, where did you go?
We went directly to apartment 618 at 4429 Maple Avenue.
Whose apartment is that?
Ray Westfall's.
Had you been there before?
Yes, I had.
In what capacity did you go to that location?
As an undercover agent.
Who went with you?
The other DEA agents.
In what capacity did they go?
As surveillance agents.
Approximately what time did you arrive at that apartment?
At approximately 10:40 a.m.
And that is the morning of August 23?
Yes, sir.
What, if anything, did you do when you arrived?
I went to apartment 618 and knocked on the door.
What happened then?
An individual known to me today as Richard Bates opened the door.
When the door was open, was there a conversation?
Yes.
Who were the parties to that conversation?
Mr. Bates and myself.
All right, and approximately what time is this now?
Approximately 10:45 a.m.
What did you say and what did Mr. Bates say?
I asked Mr. Bates if Mr. Westfall was there.
What did he say?
He told me Mr. Westfall was not at home.
Then what did you say?
I said I was there to pick up a package.
What was said then?
Mr. Bates said he had that package and allowed me entry into the apartment.
Where did you go in the apartment?
Into the living room.
Who, if anyone else, was in the living room?
Earl Weller.
Is that person present in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Would you identify him, please?
He is the individual in the brown jacket next to Mr. Manley.
After you were in the living room, was there a conversation?
Yes, there was.
Who was present during that conversation?
Mr. Bates, Mr. Weller, and myself.
Who spoke first?
Mr. Bates spoke first.
What did he say?
He introduced me to Mr. Weller as Frisco.
Was there a further conversation after that?
Yes, there was.
Who spoke first?
I did.
What did you say?
I asked them how they arrived at Hartley, Illinois.
And did anyone respond?
Yes,
Who?
Mr. Weller. He said they drove most of the night from Bedford, Indiana.
Was there further conversation after that?
Yes, there was.
And what was that?
Mr. Bates asked me if I had the money.
And what did you say?
I said I did, and I asked him how much.
What did he respond?
He said $3,800 for 4 ounces of heroin, which were Mexican ounces.
What did you say?
I said I had the money in the car.
Was there further conversation?
Yes.
You have mentioned this conversation between yourself and Mr. Bates. Where was Mr. Weller during this portion of the conversation?
He was in the living room.
And were you in the living room?
Yes, I was.
What was said next and by whom, if you recall?
It was by me.
And what was that?
I asked if I could beat on the heroin.
If you could what?
I asked if I could beat on the heroin.
If you could what?
Beat on the heroin.
What did you mean?
To mix the heroin to increase the quantity.
To whom were you speaking at this time?
To Bates and Weller.
Was there further conversation?
Yes,
Who spoke first?
Mr. Weller.
What did Mr. Weller say?
He asked me what I had used to cut my heroin.
What did you respond, if anything?
I said anything that is available.
Did he say anything after that?
He said he would recommend brown sugar.
Was there further conversation?
Yes, there was.
Who spoke first?
I did.
And what did you say?
I asked about the quality of the heroin.
Who responded to that?
Mr. Bates.
And what did you say?
He said the heroin was dynamite.
Was there any further response by anyone?
Yes,
Who was that by?
by Mr. Weller.
And what did he say?
He said he had tried the stuff the night before and it was the best he had ever had.
Okay, was there further conversation after that?
Yes,
Who spoke?
I did.
What did you say?
I asked to see the heroin at this time.
What happened then?
Mr. Weller and Mr. Bates both got up and went toward the kitchen.
What happened then?
Mr. Bates removed the aluminum foil packet from the top of the refrigerator and handed it to me.
And what did you do?
I placed it on the kitchen counter.
Now, where was Mr. Weller?
Behind the kitchen counter.
And where was Mr. Bates?
Behind the kitchen counter.
Where were you?
In front of the kitchen counter.
Could you see over that counter?
Yes,
So you were facing them and they were facing you.
right.
What happened then?
Mr. Bates asked me to test the heroin for quality.
What did you do or say?
I told him I didn't want to stall any longer and I would like to have the heroin weighed. It seemed light to me.
Was there any response to that?
Yes,
Who responded?
Mr. Weller.
What did he say?
He said they had a scale in their vehicle and that it would be a lot safer.
Okay. 180 Q&A number 1. Proper names: Mr. Chapman, Ken, German, Ted Graff, Jim Becker, Ken Murdoch, and Art Sherwin. Mr. Chapman, do you know what time of day the fire occurred?
I understand it was sometime in the afternoon.
Do you know if any of the employees came in to work on that Saturday?
Ken and I were there Saturday morning,
What time did you get there?
about 10:30 or 11.
Who locked up?
I believe both Ken and I left through the back door.
What time did you leave?
We left about noon.
What was the occasion for going there that Saturday morning?
We generally met on Saturday morning for production purposes.
And you were there about an hour or an hour and a half?
Something like that.
Was there any burglar alarm system in this building?
Not at the time of the fire.
Had there been one?
Yes. I don't recall why it was disconnected. We had 2 dogs.
Do you mean the burglar alarm system was in the building when you rented it?
There was one there, but it wasn't hooked up. We had another one. I think we may have purchased it for the other building, but we never hooked it up. Prior to the fire, we had 1 dog left of the 2 German Shepherds that we had had for about 5 years.
Did you ever have a burglar alarm system hooked up?
I don't recall.
Out of which rear door did you leave that Saturday?
Out of the entrance door for employees.
Is that the main door in the rear?
Yes,
Would that be on the wall that faces west?
that's right.
Would it be on the south side of that wall?
It would be on the west side of the wall.
Well, the rear faces west, doesn't it?
Yes, it would be the south side of the west wall.
West wall?
Right.
Okay, what kind of lock did the door have?
It had a self-locking door.
As soon as you closed the door, it was locked, is that right?
That's right.
You didn't have to use a key to lock it.
That's right.
Was it the kind of lock, if you were on the inside and it was in a lock position, you had to use a key to unlock it?
No.
Was there a knob on the door inside?
You could use the knob, yes.
Was there glass on that door?
No.
When you left, was the front door locked? I mean, the door going into the office.
At that time, we did not lock the doors to the office.
I mean, the door that went from the outside into the office.
From the shop into the office,
From the outside into the office.
on the front of the building,
On the front of the building.
I don't know if it was locked. I don't think we came in or tried that door.
There was also an overhead door in the front of the building.
Right.
How was that kept locked?
It had a sliding latch that tied into the track.
Did they also keep a piece of pipe jammed into the track?
On one of the doors, they did from time to time.
Was that the front one?
It may have been the front one. If the spring would break on the back door, they would use the front door until they had time to repair it.
Now, there was a side door right next to the overhead door, is that right?
Right.
This door was on the north wall.
Right.
Do you know if that door was locked when you left that Saturday morning?
I don't know. That door wasn't used much in the last year.
There was also a side door on the west side that led into a paint room. Is that correct?
I don't think that was ever used.
And there was also an overhead door on the west wall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was that locked when you left that Saturday morning?
I don't recall. I imagine it was.
Who had keys to these doors?
Ted Graff.
How do you spell his last name?
Graff.
What was his position at the time of the fire?
For the most part, he was second shift foreman.
Did anybody else have keys?
Jim Becker had keys. He was the day shift foreman. And of course, Ken and I had keys.
Ken who?
Ken Murdoch.
Did anybody else have keys to your knowledge?
I don't know if Art Sherwin had keys or not. He may have had a key to the back door.
And what was his position?
He was a punch press operator.
And you had keys?
That's right.
Were there different keys for each door?
I believe so.
Did you have keys for all the doors?
I don't think I had a key to the back door.
That's the door you left from the Saturday of the fire?
That's right.
Ted Graff had keys for that door?
I don't know what keys he had. He may have had keys to both doors.
How many keys did Ken Murdoch have?
He may have had keys to both doors.
And Jim Becker?
I would say the back door.
Were any keys left inside the building?
Keys were kept inside the safe.
Spare keys?
Yes.
Was that safe kept locked?
Not during the day, no.
Was it locked when you left that Saturday?
Sorry about that.
What
It got tangled in my leg, and when I moved my leg, it
Oh,
came crashing
I didn't
down.
know what had fallen. I was afraid it was your phone. I was like, wow, she's good. She didn't stop for
Mhm.
her phone.
But no, it's not working. My batteries went dead.
Okay. Let's see. 180 Q&A number 2. Proper names, Jeffrey and Mr. Parnell.
Mhm.
So a gentleman tapped on this window. Do you know the race of this person?
Do I know what?
The race of this person. Was he a black guy?
Black guy, yeah.
When he tapped on the window, what did you do?
Cracked the window.
Did he do anything at that time?
Yeah. He said, I am going to leave this here and be back. I thought he was coming back, but he never came back.
What did he leave with you?
A big bag.
Did you do anything with the bag?
Yeah. Set it in the back seat.
What happened after that?
I reclined the seat back and laid back. Laid back to just rest.
Did you fall asleep?
Fell back to sleep.
Did anything else happen that made you wake up?
Yeah. Jeffrey came to the car. I don't know how long, much longer, because I was kind of asleep.
When he came to the car, what happened?
He got in. I heard the key sticking in the door and jumped in, started the car, pulled off.
And was your seat still reclined at that time?
Yes,
Jeffrey say anything to you when he got back in the car right away?
almost. I kind of said something about police is behind him. I didn't pay it no mind. And then he pulled off and started going kind of fast. And
Did he have anything in his hands when he got to the car?
yeah, he handed over a pistol and I set it down in the car.
Is that the pistol that we saw in court yesterday? Looked like that?
Could be. I don't really know.
What did you do with that pistol?
Just set it under the seat.
Did he tell you what he did with that pistol, Jeffrey?
No.
So Jeffrey gets in the car and drives away, and you said he tells you that the police are behind him.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to that?
Looking at him like, why? You know, I didn't really know why the police was behind him, and he started speeding kind of fast. I kind of set up. I didn't lift the seat all the way up. I just set up a little bit, telling him to pull it over because, you know, I've seen this before, you know, cars, high speed stuff. Siren was on.
You heard the siren?
Yeah.
You saw the lights?
Yes.
Okay, and did he pull the car over?
Yeah,
Did you think that everything was going to end right then and there?
yeah,
What happened after that?
pulled back off.
What was your reaction to that?
Then I let the seat all the way up. I kept asking what was happening. He was saying something and just kept driving.
Was he driving pretty fast?
Yeah,
And do you recall Officer Mahan testifying yesterday about the high-speed chase?
yes, I do.
About the chase?
Yeah,
Is that pretty accurate, the way he described it?
pretty much, yeah.
Did you see Jeffrey crash the car into the curb?
Yeah, kind of wasn't really, yeah, kind of saw the crash, yeah.
Did the car pretty much stop after that?
Yes, sir.
After the car stopped, what did you do?
Got out and just walked to the back of the car.
And did you meet a police officer there?
Yeah, he was walking up with his gun drawn.
And did you identify yourself?
No, I just sat down on the curb and didn't say anything.
Did you see what Jeffrey did?
Yeah, he ran.
Is there a reason why you didn't run?
I didn't need to run. I just got out the car.
Now, were you present at the preliminary hearing that we talked about that happened back in January of this year?
Yes,
And you saw Mr. Parnell at the preliminary hearing?
yes,
Is that the same gentleman that came to court yesterday and said he didn't want to testify?
yes,
Now you heard through the transcript that Mr. Parnell identified you as the guy that came into his room and had the gun and demanded money and hit him over the head with the gun.
yes. I did hear him say that.
Was that you?
No, it wasn't.
Did you rob that gentleman that day?
No, I didn't, sir.
Did you have a gun?
No, I didn't.
Did you hit him over the head?
No, I didn't.
Did you have any blood on your clothes?
No blood, sir.
Do you know who committed that robbery?
No, I didn't. No, I don't.
Were you ever in the room that was occupied by Mr. Parnell that was testified to in this case?
No, I wasn't. I was never there.
Do you remember hearing the testimony this morning through the district attorney's paralegal that Mr. Parnell had testified that this person was rifling through the drawers?
Yes, I heard that.
Were you ever in that room rifling through these drawers?
No, I wasn't there.
Now, obviously, you're facing really serious charges in this case.
Yes, I realize that.
Are you lying to this jury because of these charges you're facing?
No, I'm not. I am telling you the truth.
Are you telling us the truth today?
Yes, I am.
Have you told us everything that happened?
Yes, another name that I saw. Hold on.
Mayhem?
Mr. Parnell, Jeffrey, no, yeah. Yeah, Officer Mahan. So on the 180 number 2 that we just finished, there's also Officer Mahan, Mahan.